Hey there, self-care warriors, welcome back to Self-Care Haven. Today's video is a short and sweet one, and it addresses a common misconception that survivors of narcissistic abuse have, which is the idea that the new source of narcissistic supply, the new victim, the new boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, wife, husband, what have you, is the lucky one, right? Because we've all had this thought before, especially if we've been triangulated, gaslighted, put down, made to feel inferior throughout an abusive relationship with a narcissist who makes us feel worthless. And this belief is rooted not in reality, and it's not grounded in the reality of the narcissist's actual character, but rather in the trauma bond, in cognitive dissonance, in the fear of missing out, of the fantasy future that we were going to have with the narcissist, which they basically pulled out from underneath us and cruelly and callously discarded without a second glance. And they rode off into the sunset with this new partner, and it seems as if, according to their social media, as they're flaunting this new victim, this new source of supply, that they appear to be very happy, and that sends you into a tailspin because you are thrown into this cognitive dissonance, wondering, well, was it really them or was it me? Was I the problem? Because they seem to be doing just fine with this new partner who they seem to have been grooming way ahead of the ending of our relationship. But of course you don't pay attention to that fact because you're more focused on the new victim, and that's exactly what the narcissist wants you to do. They want you to focus on the new victim so that you can feed into your own insecurities. And this is all manufactured. This is all manufactured to triangulate you, to make you doubt yourself, to make you feel like you lost out on this great fantasy relationship that they're having with this new partner. What you're really seeing is the honeymoon phase. You're seeing the love bombing stage. That new source of supply has no idea about what it's about to become, and their life is not something to be envied. Their life should not be wished upon anyone because right now they're in the idealization phase with a predator. Someone who's going to groom them, use them, and manipulate them into giving them narcissistic supply. And depending on how long they stay and how long they're trauma bonded and how much they invest in that relationship, they may have to pull themselves out of devastation after years of emotional, physical, sexual, financial, or any form of abuse that the narcissistic abuser chooses to impose upon them. Because if there's one guarantee, it's that narcissists repeat cycles. What you have to remember is that personality disorders are hardwired. They have been present and they have been developing since childhood. They are thought to originate in childhood. So whatever that original narcissistic wound was in childhood, that person that you saw that presented themselves as this perfect man or woman was just a mask. It was just a false mask, and you have to be able to grieve that you fell for this mask while acknowledging that that person really truly does not exist. They don't exist for you, and they will not exist for this new partner. This new partner is getting a mask of their own, a manufactured mask that's catered to their needs, their preferences, their desires, and it could be completely different from the person that you once dated, because narcissists know how to play the chameleon. They know how to morph into different personas. They know how to charm the pants off of anybody. They know how to work a room. They know how to spot the victims that are more likely to give them narcissistic supply in the form of empathy, in the form of bouncing back from narcissistically abusive incidents. Now, the fact that you were chosen as a victim does not make you a bad person. It simply means that you're probably more empathic than most, more conscientious, you have integrity, and you are generous. And with good boundaries, those sort of skill sets are incredibly useful in a healthy relationship. However, in an unhealthy, toxic one, they are used by predators against you. Just because you were the victim of a narcissist does not mean that your strengths were weaknesses. Just because your strengths were used against you do not mean that they are weaknesses. They're still strengths, but they were used against you by a predator. A predator who knows exactly how to zoom into those qualities and exploit them for their agenda. And that's exactly what he or she is doing to their new victim. They're basically outsourcing the need for self-development, and they are going to drain the life out of that victim after they love bomb them. their true egocentrism, arrogance, haughty sense of superiority, contempt, and their inability to maintain a true authentic bond with anybody and show their true selves to anybody is going to come out over time with the new victim. Their mask is going to slip. Now, depending on the resources that new victim has, maybe their mask doesn't slip quite so early. However, it is going to slip eventually. And the longer that victim invests, the more trauma bonded that victim becomes. And the more trauma bonded that victim becomes, the more likely he or she is going to rationalize, deny, minimize, and try to stay in the relationship, fight for the relationship. And that's why usually warning the new victim does not help. I know a lot of survivors have tried to warn the new victims and it fell on deaf ears. Why? Because at that point of the relationship, either they're so infatuated with the narcissist in the love bombing stage that they are not willing to believe you. The narcissist has painted you as this obsessed, crazy ex-girlfriend or boyfriend, and you've come off as unhinged, trying to warn them and trying to be a good person. Or they're so invested in the narcissist by the devaluation stage, and they feel so worthless, and they really do feel like they're walking on eggshells, and they're anxious and they're fearful and they don't know what to do, and they are in a high degree of cognitive dissonance. And even though you're warning them and you're telling them exactly what they've been experiencing, they still might not want to believe you because they're still in denial and they want to hold on to that fantasy relationship. Either way, it's not your responsibility to drag that person out of this abusive relationship. Unfortunately, they have to do that themselves. You're not responsible. If you have tried to give them warning and it fell on deaf ears, there's not much more you can do. And the important thing is that you escape and that you take care of yourself, right? So whether or not you choose to warn the new victim, which unfortunately doesn't always work out, it may even work against you, you have to be cautious about these things because the narcissist can always paint you as the unhinged one. If you choose to warn the new victim, they might try to depict you as crazy. Again, the new victim might not have any idea of the extent of the narcissist's deception by this stage, and they may not be willing to believe you. So be very cautious if you have this urge to warn the new victim. Ask yourself, what are your motivations? What is likely to happen? And are you willing to take that risk? Because sometimes it's better to move forward and focus on your own self-care. And a lot of the time, that's what's going to benefit you in the long run. And if you acknowledge the fact that you are the lucky one, that you are actually the fortunate one to have escaped the narcissist's claws and have escaped a lie of abuse, betrayal, cheating, infidelity, manipulation, triangulation, gaslighting, covert and overt put-downs, and you have escaped, investing years into someone who leads a double life, and you acknowledge that fact over and over and over again, and you remind yourself and you anchor yourself in the reality of the abusive character of the narcissist, that's when you start to realize that the new victim is not the lucky one here. You are. And, hopefully the new victim gets out as well, but right now it's time for you to focus on yourself and focus on your newfound path to freedom. Because whether you were discarded or you discarded the narcissist first, it's your life now that you have to worry about, and it's your life that you want to create, because the best revenge, of course, is always living well. The best revenge is success. The best karma a narcissist can receive is the weight of your indifference and success after you leave them. So I hope this video motivates and inspires you. If it did, please share the video with others. Please comment in the comment section below. What has been one tip that you would share with other survivors as to how to maintain no contact and how to heal? And did you warn the new victim? If so, share your story below, what happened, or if you chose not to warn the new victim, what happened. I'd be interested in hearing your stories on that. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Until next time, take care. Be sure to check out my #1 best-selling book, Becoming the Narcissist Nightmare: How to Devalue and Discard the Narcissist While Supplying Yourself, a #1 bestseller in personality disorder. Also be sure to check out my book, Power: Surviving and Thriving After Narcissistic Abuse, a #1 bestseller in applied psychology.